Hey guys, it's Amy. I thought I would pop in and give you a little tutorial on the Give It a Whirl die. My host club members got a surprise little package this month that included some of the die cut pieces from this, and I thought you guys would all like to see kind of how it's used. So I will switch the camera around and share a little tutorial, which it's been a while since I've done, so I'm looking forward to do it. Okay, so this tutorial is using this die called Give It a Whirl, and it's this one right here. And it is in the back of the catalog on page 163, and there's not a matching stamp set because it goes with lots of different stamp sets, but it creates a spinner card, so I will show you how to do this. I recommend having a couple extra things, which would be Post-it notes and a pencil with a good eraser that doesn't leave a mark. And here's an example of a card that we're going to make. So this is fun. It's using the In Symmetry stamp set and paper. And you just use the little spinner here, trying to spin and keep it in the camera at the same time. You get a little flower and a greeting on the first one, another little flower. And this can be used with, like the animal sets where you have little, penguin or cute little animals peeking out. You could do birthdays where you have, candles and a present and a greeting. Whatever kind of little stamp fits in here. So it goes with lots of different stamp sets. I just happen to use this one. And so let's go ahead and start. So this die has lots of pieces to it. 21 in fact. So there are different shapes of windows that you can create. So in this one, the window is this kind of pie-shaped wedge. So that's this piece. I have it used blue painter's tape on mine to hold it in place because I was cutting out a bunch of them at once and I wanted to just keep it easy. But I'll take it off now that you've seen that. That's a fun little tip to how to use it. Remove the painter's tape. So these little window pieces line up with this little notch on there, and you can cut them out at the same time. So you can do a circle, and that circle can be anywhere in the upper half or the lower half of the card like that. Either way, you just line it up with this little pivot point. So it can be a circle, it can be the wedge that we used in this example, or it could be this heart shape. So you could have a window that's a heart shape. And again, that's cute like that. So a circle, and then there's also this little rectangle, like if you just wanted to do some greetings or something narrow. And all of these pieces have the stitching, including the base piece here, has the stitching around the edges. So that's really a fun detail. And you can see that on the card here, the stitching around the edge here, but also around the edge of the window that's cut out. There's also a ton of accessory pieces, little labels, little clouds, hearts, stars, in different sizes that coordinate so you can add little embellishments. There's also these cute little arrow pieces so you can add either an embossed or a cutout piece that shows which way to do the spinner. So tons and tons of pieces with this set. And then last but not least is the actual spinner piece. And it has a scalloped edge, so it makes it a little bit easier to, get a hold of and spin. And has these sections that actually match one of the dies. This doesn't cut it out, but it's a separate die that does that. This one here. But this little window is kind of useful, and I'll show you how in a moment. So those are kind of the pieces that are involved. Let's set that out of the way, and we will get started. Okay, so I've cut out my card base, and that just goes on, or the card piece, and that'll just go on a regular card front. And you could add another layer behind it if you want to have more color show. So that's that. And then the other extra piece that you'll want is just a circle. I think this is like a 1¼ inch circle, I'm not sure. I used this die, one of the window dies, to cut it out. And that's nice little addition. Here's some of the clouds that were cut out. We're not going to use those for this particular design, but just to see, they've got the cute stitching on them as well. All right, so let's set those out of the way for the moment. So we've got the circle that's cut out, and that'll go behind here and be the windows that you have. If you use the circles, of course that cutout will be circle and go like that. So there's the hole here, and if you run the die separately, the frame die separately, then you can get the hole will also punch through here. So you could put the brad all the way through the front of the card, or you can, it gets a little bit of a divot, which you can cover up. So you can either run the brad all the way through the center of the card, or you can just do it like this. I did mine separate because I didn't want the brad on the front. And then the other thing that you want is whatever shape, so in this case we're doing the wedge shape, you want to keep that cutout piece and your little pencil. And you're just going to take and like halfway between the top and the hole, kind of center it in there. In this case, you can actually use the die and trace in that, but I'll show you how to do the pieces. So you can do the same thing with the heart or the circle or the little rectangle piece. And I'm not being super exact, but I'm just doing this to mark where my stamping goes. And so this next one, I'm just going to kind of, I know that the spacing is, you know, just about this far apart. So I'm just going to kind of space it in there about the same. Do a quick little mark. And this just gives me an idea of where I want to keep my stamping at. So it doesn't have to be super precise. Unless you want it to be super precise, then you can make it more precise. But for my case, oops, I didn't do the top on that one. It just kind of gives you a target for where to put your stamp. All right, so there's my little stamped area. Get those little guys out of the way. Don't need that right now. Okay, so then the next thing you want is some post-it notes, some sticky notes. So you can just kind of line up on here. And that way when you're stamping, if you're stamping a larger image, which in this case I'm not, but if you were, then you wouldn't stamp into the other images that'll show through your windows. So there's the stamps I'm going to use. And my ink pad. I'm not going to be super precise here because you guys get the idea. Put my little hey friend in there. Ooh, that was messy. Obviously you would take more time on your card, but for the purpose of the video, I'm just being quick. Get rid of that ink pad out of the way. And I'm going to do the bumblebee. And again, you would be more careful than I'm being, but I'm just being quick. And then flirty flamingo. For the little tulip top. Like I said, you don't really have to do this if you're using small stamps like I am, but it is just kind of helps you kind of eyeball where you're stamping to. All right, so there's my stamping. And again, normally you would do it neater, but you get the idea. Okay, so now we have that. I am not going to erase these quite yet because I want to use them in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to take the circle that you cut out. If you want to be real precise, you can measure the center. I am not being that picky. I'm using my take a pick tool with the piercing end to pierce a hole in it. I'm going to place that right behind my stamped one. Let's see, this one I have stamped on the other side. And then I'm going to use a brad. It doesn't matter what color, because in this case it's not going to show, but I picked a black one so it would show up for the video. So on the back of my thing, put the brad through from the front into the back. This is the side I didn't like when I stamped it. Open up your brad, and you're going to use two Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm using black ones just so it's easier to see. and you're going to put them on either side of your brad on the little circle. And that, what that does is this part will attach to the card, the little circle, and then your spinner part will spin more easily. Whereas if you, because it has more space in there and your brad doesn't catch. Okay. So that just works really well that way. Okay. So now we have our little thing done there. We're going to take and put our spinner centered on the card here where we want it. We're going to take and kind of hold this over the top. Actually, it's easier if you do it this way. Line up the brad with a little bit of an indent on the front of your card, like that, with your stuff in the window. And then, oops, take off your little back part. Got to remember the steps in order here. Take off the backing from your dimensionals. So you've lined up this piece so that your window is lined up correctly using your trace marks. The top layer is not attached. The only thing that's going to attach is the dimensionals in the back. Okay. I'm going to find the center of my card where I want to put it. You could put it off center and give more space for the spinner if you want. I'm going to try to do it mostly centered here, from like that. Okay, and then this part's not attached, so you're just going to pick it up. Now you're going to go back and erase your pencil marks. So when you're doing these, just do them lightly so that they're easy to erase. Make sure you have a good eraser. Usually a white one is good because it won't leave behind as much of a mark as like the traditional pink erasers. Tap off your erasings, your little pieces that are left. Okay, so now we have that on there, and it spins really nice. Isn't that fun? That's just amusing to me. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, if you were going to stamp on your front, you would do all that decorating before you put the card together, so it's nice and flat. I'm not going to decorate the front of this card for the purpose of the video. On my sample card, I stamped here and then just added a little panel at the bottom. But you could do anything. You could cut this out of designer series paper. You could just cut it out of the fancy glimmer papers. You could do all kinds of fun stuff with this. Use your blender, blending brushes to give it a, a colored background that's in an ombre pattern, or, tons of stuff that you can do to create this panel, depending on what stamp set you're doing and what style you want to create. For this case, because I'm just showing you how to make the card, I'm just going to leave it blank. Again, I'll use the black ones. Normally I would not use black ones on white paper, but in this case I'm going to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the dimensionals at the very corners of the back paper so that it doesn't interfere with the spinner. And I like to give one more dimensional, like right about here, just a little bit below the spinner, just to help keep the whole card lifted up so that the spinner can spin freely. So then I'm going to take one of my little guys. If I center this on the card, because that's where I laid it out originally, and I adhere it down, ooh, that is not at all centered. It's hard to do on video, guys. All these people watching me, so much pressure. And I'm trying not to get my head in the camera. Anyway, you get the idea. Center it on the card. And now I can do my little spinner. So this is kind of a fun one, to make special cards. It's not a fast card process, but it makes some really fun ones. Fun for kids because it has something interactive, fun little surprise. You could leave little notes in there. And like I said, there are the little arrow dies, so you can, if you think somebody needs a hint on what to do with it, you can add those. But that is how the Give It a Whirl die works. And again, you can use it with any number of stamp sets. And a good way to do that is to, just open your catalog. Oh, here, how about the cute animals? So maybe I want to use the heart one. Okay, so I can take my little die I can just come here and go, okay, how would that look in the heart? It would be cute. I could do the cute little, their little heads, and you could have them spin around. It'd be kind of cute. You could do the, this one here with the paper airplane would be kind of fun in there. We go, oh, well, that doesn't fit so well. Maybe I need a bigger picture. I'll use my bigger window. Okay, that'll work. Make a fun little travel-y kind of card. So really, tons and tons of stamp sets in the catalog will work with this particular die, which is why I didn't really build one to go with it, because look how cute this would be with snowmen. Maybe the circle ones. I think little snowman heads. How fun is that? Maybe just some snowflakes. Or you could put a little spinner above the snowman's head and have different hats spin around. So many things you could do. Okay. So I thought you would enjoy seeing how the little spinner card works. I hope you enjoy the Give It a Whirl die if you give it a try. Talk to you guys later. Bye.